Biomolecules in biology in the Africa Lions in Africa unit. We are going to work with the organic molecules. The organic, that means they contain carbon and hydrogen. Usually these are big molecules called macromolecules, but it does not mean that all of them are big. So we sort these biomolecules into 4 groups: carbohydrates, lipids, proteins, and nucleic acids. We are going to focus here on carbohydrates, lipids, and proteins. The nucleic acid will come later. Let's focus on the carbohydrates first. They serve as fast energy fuels for the cells, as well as serve as building material. The small monomer unit for the carbohydrates, for our example, besides of so many, is the glucose. Now, this might be a little bit too much to expect from you guys to write this out, but we will use an abbreviated version of that, a hexagon that will serve or model a small glucose molecule. Carbohydrates can be big when several hundreds of monomers are going to combine together. For example, in here, when they combine through chemical reactions and make a longer chain of the molecules. Examples are starch and glycogen, that they both serve as energy storage molecules for the cell. They can be cellulose that builds up the cell wall, and chitin, it's a modified carb with some nitrogen to form the exoskeleton for the insects. The monomer is the unit of the big polymer, and in this case, in our example, the glucose was the monomer for the starch or glycogen polymer. We have carbon, oxygen, and hydrogen in the carbohydrates. We see that the number of carbons usually the same as the number of oxygens, and the hydrogen, we have a lot of hydrogen in here, usually 2 times than carbon and oxygen. The next one is going to be the lipids that we are going to deal with. This is not a polymer. We will get back in class why it's not, but definitely lipids are hydrophobic, all of them. That means they fear of water. They don't mix well with water. We are going to focus on fatty acids. Now, drawing out the fatty acid is the carbon, and these lines are all the covalent bonds, a non-polar covalent bonds with the hydrogen. And what we notice in here, there's tons of carbons, hydrogens, and oxygen. The function is as energy storage, as well as insulation and cushioning. Please focus on tons of hydrogen and carbon and barely any oxygen in the molecule. The last group what we are going to deal with now is the protein. It has a versatile function. It can serve as protein to catalyze chemical reactions. It also can act as structural protein, for example, the keratin for hair and nail. It can serve as a transporter for ions and molecules around the cell membrane, can function as a messenger for cell communication, as well as a receiver for cell communication that receives the signal. It can make the cell move and also serves as an antibody, as a defensive protein against infections. The monomer for the protein, because protein is a polymer, is the amino acid. The amino acid's chemical layout, it has a central carbon and an amino group, NH2. On the other side of the carbon, it's going to combine with a carboxyl group. It's a functional group that is active during chemical reactions, contains a hydrogen and an R group attached to the central carbon that can be varied. It can be like hydrogen, a methyl group, or OH group, a hydroxyl group, and so on. There's many of them. We usually have 20 amino acids that we use in our body. So many monomers are going to make a polymer. In our case, the amino acid, many amino acids are going to make a protein or a shorter polypeptide chain. Thank you for your attention. Bye.